Hey everyone, this is Demetrius Tollfree. I am the station manager of your radio station, freedomradio.com, where we bring you the absolute best in gospel music 24 hours a day. And I just wanted to stop and give a shout out and a big thank you to Deion Jackson and the entire staff over at Increased Media. They have done exactly that. What started out as just a collaboration on a couple of projects has turned out into our media being increased. And listen, I started out by pouring some information into Dion. Before I knew it, she had turned that thing around and has been pouring into me. And Increased Media has made Freedom Radio even that much more greater. So if I were you, if you need your media increased, or if you need your life increased, listen, depend on Deion Jackson and all of the staff over at Increased Media. Tell them Demetrius Tollfree sent you. It'll do you good. Be blessed.
What's going on? What's going on? Happy Friday to each and every one of you. This is Deion Jackson, and this is another Increased Media moment. I'm ecstatic to be joining you again live tonight, right out of the new Increased Media studio. And the crowd goes, wow, to God be all the glory. I am happy to be again with Dr.Behave. Listen, you guys know her as Dr. Zoee Bartholomew, and we are having a conversation tonight about something that is near and dear to my heart. I'm excited to have each and every one of you join, and I would love it if you just type in the chat where you're watching from, type your name, your city, and man, by all means, tag and share with a friend. This discussion is needful. It's necessary. I have nephews, cousins, friends, family members that are currently dealing with a level of need in such a way that we had to bring in a specialist. And when I tell you, listen, I could talk about her all day. First and foremost, she is an absolute geek. She is a brainiac. She is hilarious. She is personable. But more than anything, listen, she absolutely knows her craft. And as I grow to know her and understand her passion, hey, Van, hey, Miss Julie, hey, Rainey, hey, Bessie, welcome, welcome, welcome. And don't forget, guys, to tag and to share with a friend. As I begin to partner with her in making sure that awareness is brought to our special needs community, it has helped me to rethink the approach. It has helped me to remember to include family voices and ideas and understandings. And so, listen, I am excited to introduce to some and present to others who we all know and love as Dr. Behave, better known as Dr. Zoee Bartholomew. Hey, girl.
Hey, how are you guys?
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have a host of folks watching and tuning in tonight. And again, I want to remind you all to share, tag. If you know somebody that is parenting a special needs child, if you know someone that is dealing with and or struggling with a child that is autistic, listen, I want to tell you first and foremost, you got to be some kind of special for God to bless you with that kind of a gift. You got to be something meaningful if he would trust you with something so precious and so important to our world and our society. So again, I'm excited to have Zoee here. Zoee, for those that didn't get a chance to watch on last week, do me a favor. Tell the people who Dr. Behave is. Introduce Dr. Zoee Bartholomew for me. And I'm not talking about doctor and she just threw that on there. Listen, she earned that title, y'all.
All right. So I'm, as she said, Dr. Zoee Bartholomew. And so my background is just, I've been working with children since I was a teenager in the rec departments down in Berkeley at the recreational program called YAP From there, I was at Howard University. I participated in working with children with autism. And from there, I just went on to keep my career in special education. And so that's who I am. I am someone here to be a support to you, and that's what I do. So I'm here to help.
Isn't it amazing how you will begin a journey as what you thought was simply doing a job, and the next thing you know, it becomes your life work. And that's another thing that Zoe also contributes to, assisting people in strengthening their life work, not just from a direction of education, but the reality is when people know their craft, but outside of that, know their business. Listen, it's great to partner with great minds, with great hearts, with folks that know how to do what it is that they do. And I just need to share from a background view. Listen, old girl, this chick knows exactly what she's doing. So if, again, you are a parent and you have a special needs child, listen, connecting with this amazing woman, this woman of faith, this woman of courage and strength, this woman who lives her truth out loud, unapologetically, that in and of itself is gangster. But if you are looking to partner with someone that can help walk you through processes that perhaps you wouldn't otherwise be able to glean, she's an excellent person to learn and to glean from. You'll notice on the board, and in the notes and the comments, it says become a part of a proactive community of parents, advocates, and peers that value solutions. What I know for a fact about Zoe is that she is solution oriented. Somebody asking for the apparel. We got to get that on deck. We got to get at least some t-shirts, something. We got to talk about that after the show tonight. But I want you to take into consideration, if you are a parent and you are dealing with special needs, and keep in mind that while autism is one of her specialties, she deals with a broad spectrum on multiple levels. Any type of education formats, platforms, forums available for speaking, is an expert witness in our judicial system currently. And y'all, check this out. Oh, y'all didn't know that Faith Evans recruited Dr.Behave for December 30th. I'm going to flash the flyer in just a minute, but I want to just give you an idea of who you are rubbing shoulders with, if that's all right, if that's a decent way to say it. You never know who you are in a room with until you ask the right questions. One of the things that I've learned is when you ask the right questions, you always get the right answers. So, Dr. Bartholomew, tonight we're talking about autism in particular.
Okay.
And I know just in our pre-conversation, we talked about a couple of different things. And there are some things that probably need to be debunked. Let's start there. Do me a favor and talk to us a little bit about autism and what it really is.
Well, I always start off with letting people know that it is still a disorder that's like this mystery, hence the puzzle piece. So basically, if you really go back into some of the research and studies, it's the symptoms or the characteristics of this disability has been around for quite some time. Mm-hmm. But we recently coined it and labeled it this terminology called autism. And prior to that, it was really under this other umbrella called the pervasive developmental disorder, where you had the pervasive developmental disorder, which is called PDD, NOS, you had autistic, you had Asperger's, you had Rett syndrome. Now in the new Diagnostic Statistical Manual 5, we just call it autism spectrum disorder. And then there's also like a social pragmatic communication disorder. That's a new label that they added to this manual. And for those of you who don't know, this manual is a manual that is used by medical professionals as well as some mental health clinicians to actually give a definitive diagnosis. And individuals have to meet certain characteristics in order to receive that label.
Okay. I was doing my own research just with regard to autism. I have a college student cousin, my cousin's son. His name is Jawan Johnson. Jawan, cousin loves you. He is in his second year, I believe, in university, and we are beyond proud of him. And I remember him being small, him being probably months old, and being with my cousin Dewana Lachey, or y'all know her as Shay Sugar, the comedian, and he was in his playpen, and a song by Khalees came on, literally, and that boy wasn't walking or anything. He climbed out of the playpen. He was terrified of the song, and so I was like, now he can't walk, he can't crawl, and he didn't climb out of the playpen behind this song. And so Shay kept picking with him, because you'd have to know Shay to understand. She messy. She kept picking with that baby, putting that song on to see why his response was his response. Long story short, it was one of the things that was an identifier for her. Can you talk to a parent? Now, I looked up some of the symptoms and some of the different things that children suffer with at a very early age. It can be detected. And the reason I know it can be successfully detected and managed, because it doesn't go away. It's, it is their way of life. You have to learn how to accommodate them.
Right.
And my cousin and her ex-husband, they were so proactive in providing the right sources, the right school systems, the right speech therapists. They had so much support. They had so much help. So let's talk a little bit about some of the symptoms.
So what the common theme, I'll just take you, let's say, your child is, ages 0 to 3. So, how you have to do your wellness check. There's different milestones that you have to hit, when you're talking with your doctor. So one of the biggest things that is often identified during this time frame, I'm saying ages 0 to 3, is your language development, communication. And so sometimes, this is not with all individuals with autism, let me just make that very clear.
Right.
But some individuals will have some communication deficits, delays, processing issues. It'll show up at that age group and further on. Okay. And so that's one of them. Another thing is noticing how they may interact or react to stimulus in the environment. So sometimes, you were pointing out your cousin, I believe you were saying how that song kind of bothered him, but it could have been an auditory stimulus that the sounds and that music or whatever just didn't go well with him and his brain, and that message just made him feel fearful. So you'll see different types of stimulus that can definitely impact the individual with autism. The other thing is sometimes they have what we call this ritualistic behavior. They have to do things a certain way. They have their own schedule. They may, when they're younger, line up items and toys and things. Again, back to the sensory piece and the stimulation, they may not like to wear clothing. It doesn't feel right on their body, along with the fact that they may not recognize their own body in space and time. So meaning they may, fall off of things. I don't know what to say other than it's low muscle tone, things like that. I don't want to get too technical with you guys, but basically there are some very clear indicators, and this is why we have a team of support that helps work with these individuals, like speech therapists, occupational therapists, physical therapists, behavior specialists, because that's another thing is reactions to things, how they, react to their environment and places, and they may get upset and get physical, loud, things like that. So there's a variety of things. Right now, I would recommend there's lots of research that's out, but I would pay attention to, let's not focus so much on the symptoms, because a lot of times we get caught up in wanting to treat the symptoms. So we don't want to focus on that. We want to look at each person as an individual for themselves. And so not all treatments and strategies are going to work for everyone. And I think that's something that we get caught up in. So yes, these symptoms are what they call characteristics. These are clear for the identification piece. And again, this helps them to start looking at, hey, how can I be a support and what can we do for this individual?
Very good. Very good. You'll also notice that Zoe does individual independent consulting for parents, for paraeducators, for educational systems, districts, things of that nature, for scheduling or booking an appointment with a more in-depth discussion for how support can be provided or garnered for you and your special needs loved one. Just want to let you know that she is available. You don't have to talk to a person. You can schedule an appointment and move right in the direction of resolution. Just kind of a heads up. So as I was doing my research, and I just want to bring out a couple of these points, because for somebody, I know you are extremely technical. I'm gonna be real hood with it, in a very classy kind of way. But I want to give you some pointers on how you can identify, because the truth is, in Black and brown communities, underprivileged areas, we have a tendency to over spiritualize what is really something that can be treated and addressed as exactly what it is, a disorder that has to be adjusted to and accommodated and supported. You may not know exactly how to move around. You may have been convinced or hoodwinked into believing that this will all just go away. Sugar, let me help you. That's a lie. And the devil is a lie. We are no longer going to be underserved for lack of knowledge. So a couple of the things that I saw as I was reading, your child may or may not respond to his or her name by the age of 12 months. Is that accurate? Would you say that's accurate?
I would say, yeah, yes and no. Everything that you're about to read off, these are, I can't say it enough, but these are some markers that they look for. It doesn't mean every single child with autism had these markers. I can't stress that enough, because there's other individuals who have some speech and language development issues, and it has nothing to do with autism.
Okay.
So we need to be clear about that.
Absolutely. Very good. Well, these are just some of the available resources online, and these you may identify with them, you may or may not, but I didn't want to leave the audience empty-handed without having some type of information. The best information would come right from the doctor's mouth with that one-on-one consult. So sometimes they can't explain what he or she wants. I know in my experience in dealing with Jawan, he could not express what he wanted. And listen, he used to watch the movie Happy Feet. And he would watch the same part of that movie over and over again. That joker would rewind it and rewind it and rewind it. He could write and draw. He was the most creative. He could copy a character. I mean, like he created it. It was amazing. There are also some that don't necessarily follow directions because it's not computing. They're not digesting what you're saying socially.
Or sometimes, I just want to step in on that one. Sometimes if they are having some language challenges or some processing delays, like how they process information, sometimes we need to provide maybe a visual support of that direction, give them some extra time to respond before we automatically just assume they're not following directions.
Okay.
So, and really just another disclaimer to that, that's something you should do if your child didn't have autism. You should do this all the time. So we need to sometimes slow down. And I'm bringing that up because as a behaviorist, that's one of the calls I get all the time is, oh, they don't follow directions. They not, and the same thing at home. And that's not always the case. Sometimes we need to slow down, provide some other prompts and cues to help them to be able to follow that direction or that instruction.
Very good. You just said something that I believe is super important. I want to remind everyone that her focus is not solely autism. That is, she's a behavioralist more than anything, and very, very supportive and strong in structure with regard to behavior management, which is what we were talking about when we talk about that community that we are dealing with. So you'll deal with regular parents who are dealing with children who may be dealing with ADHD or some other behaviors. Zoe would be able to explain that and share the different disabilities. But we just want you to know that there is a support system. So here's another one that I saw. They sometimes hear you, sometimes they don't. And again, this is case by case.
Well, that's questionable.
That's selective
I got
behavior,
some
right?
adults that do that. So I don't know about that one. That was real tricky. So I'm
debunk that
with the autistic community. Let's just say that's a human response sometimes.
Listen, I got it fully. So another one that I saw online was may not point or wave goodbye. I think that could be common with regular kids, though.
Again, it's like, again, those are just like some communication markers or whatever, but it's not the be all say all of that's something that you're gonna see.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah.
So the next one was say fewer words or babble.
Yeah.
And then sometimes just becomes nonverbal altogether.
Sometimes it just depends. Like I said, it's a case by case basis. So again, yes, there are some individuals who unfortunately cannot speak, and that's for a variety of reasons. I'm going to stay in my lane with that, meaning I am not a speech therapist, but I have speech therapists on my team. And you know, they can communicate that with you. There are various reasons why that happens, both on a cognitive level, as well as there could be some oral motor issues within their mouth that is causing that problem.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it goes way deeper than we think.
Wow, very good. Okay. So I also saw this one, and I really wanted to ask you about this.
Okay.
The ASD is about 4.5 times more common among boys than girls. Would you say that's accurate?
I don't know. I mean, I have to see what the recent data is, but yes, this has been the trend, I should say. Again, now we're doing more diagnosing and things like that than we used to. So the numbers are kind of coming out that way.
Okay.
So, I mean, so again, I would have to see what the latest research is. I don't know what it is offhand, but yes, but this is, so what I'm trying to say to you, this is not uncommon in other types of disabilities too, that sometimes boys are being diagnosed. So take ADHD. Remember, there was a lot of data and research in the 70s, even till today, where there were African American boys being heavily diagnosed with the label of ADHD because they were very active, but that was being termed as ADHD when that's not the case.
Okay, got it. Trey Wilson says, hi, Trey. She says, in some cases, when you're talking to them, you may find that you're not forming the question in a way that they comprehend it. So you may have to form the sentence in a way that's crafted just for them. I would agree.
What she's describing is what we call a verbal script. We also do things like social stories and things like that when it relates to that.
Okay. This one is spot on. You said this specifically, almost verbatim, as if you had written, which you could have with all the content that you have. Stereotype behavior gets stuck doing the same thing over and over again, can't move on to other things, shows deep attachment to toys, objects, or routine, spends a lot of time lining things up. So that's that that almost.
Yeah, and it's very similar to what we call obsessive compulsive disorder, which in the DSM there's two types of obsessive compulsive disorder. There's an anxiety version of it and a personality trait. So I think the best way of looking at that is if you wanted to visually see that, check out the movie, what is it, As Good as It Gets, with Jack Nicholson. He plays an OCD character and he does a phenomenal job of acting that out. But that, again, that happens with individuals too that have that disorder versus autism. So again, when we're doing all this thorough assessment, it's important that you look at everything. Okay. So you can't just pull out characteristics.
Right. I got it. This is another one that is considered a social behavior. Gets stuck. Doesn't smile when smiled at, has poor eye contact, seems to prefer to play alone, usually very independent, tune people out. But I think that's a human characteristic too.
I think so too. And if we look at things for today, like with technology and so on, that whole thing about poor eye contact, I even find myself when I'm talking to people, I don't always give direct eye contact. I could be looking over here or doing something else. So again, these were just characteristics that were commonly found in this when they were building this diagnosis, I should say. But again, you're going to keep hearing me say this because I definitely advocate for all my individuals with disabilities. And so I don't want everybody just jump on board with you got this label just because you hit a certain characteristics,
Very good. Also, I want to do this before we move and back completely out as we begin to start wrapping things up. I also want to let people know that in our next week's session, we'll actually have a live audio call where you will physically be able to call in and talk to Dr. Zoe on live while we're online next Friday. If you have some questions, comments, commentary, please, ma'am, please, sir, don't hesitate to go to the ZMB consulting page and make sure to send inbox questions, comments, commentary, things of that nature, so that we can prepare to be able to serve you from the best place possible. And that's from an informed place. And so you can also follow her at Dr.Behave. And that's on Facebook, IG, Facebook and IG, but also you can follow the ZMB consulting page. Okay. Don't forget to go and like and share it, invite people, and keep in mind that the group that is being formed right now is being formed just to build this community out, to make sure that you have strong support consistently. Okay. I want you to speak to parents right now who are caring for a child with special needs. And you said something last week that I think is very critical, very crucial, and extremely important. How important is self-care for a caregiver and or provider?
It's huge. It's huge. It's huge. And like I said last week, without you, they can't function, So if you're not taking care of yourself, you're just not gonna make it. You're gonna make some rash decisions. You're gonna have poor judgment. You're gonna, you might get a little bit more irritable, annoyed. A lot of things happen when we're not at our best. Let's just say that. So I talked about how you guys can have some me time and finding those moments to yourself where you can just take a moment to breathe. I talked about how I do mindful moments. And so this week, as it relates to children with autism, you have to find a way to create a level of structure, but you also have to be very flexible and open to, like I said, vacating the plan. Sometimes we have this great plan and, you're going to have different therapists come in who tell you this is the plan and you need to do this every day. But in order to make these plans work, you have to have a lot of follow through and consistency. But if your child is responding to you by saying, no, I don't want to do this, leave me alone, and they're throwing a fit and so on, you need to give them a moment. Otherwise, you're going to get hurt. They're going to get hurt. It gets out of control, and it's really unnecessary to take it to that level. Like I said, if you're in a life or death situation, that's totally different programming. But if you're in a situation where you can wait patiently, give them a little bit more time. Like I said, give time to process information. I'm notorious from giving an instruction, walking away, coming back to see if they got started or if I need to give another directive. But you need to slow down. We're always in a rush. So when I say structure, I'm talking about you parents. You create a structure. You have a plan. If you know, hey, we got to be at this destination at this time, but I know they have a problem getting out the bed and getting ready, then I have to give myself a little bit more time to be ready, to give them some time to wait them out and things like that. Now, you know, some people don't want to do that, and they're struggling in your own personal life with your time management and organization. We can have another chat about that, parents. But if you don't have that, then why are you expecting them to have that? So it doesn't make sense. So you have to create a very structured environment that is manageable for you. You have to be open and flexible so that you can be following through and being consistent.
That's very good. Very, very good. I think that not only was tonight's discussion helpful, I think that we were able to effectively arm some folks with just some, number one, letting people know you are absolutely not alone.
That's right.
You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to be in a alone space. And I've also sent the link to all of Zoe's contact sources and resources, just to let you know you can jump on deck, get involved in the group, be part of the discussion. If you have questions that are, you know, more detailed, intimate questions, listen, do not hesitate to drop them off in the group. We encourage open communication so that we can start to build and develop relationships that are supportive. You never know. Listen, I've met so many folks on Facebook. And who would have ever known that ultimately a relationship will be formed, that I can't imagine life without that person connected to me going forward. And I'm dead serious. I'm talking about solid, real relationships, and building and developing and cultivating your squad, your tribe, your team is imperative in self-care. Can I tell you that? That self-care piece is huge, right? So that being said, Doc, last question, and this is just for me, and it's a little bit more detailed. I want you to bring it in for people who don't necessarily know that all of the things work together. Asperger's.
Okay. Asperger's.
Asperger's. See, now you see?
Asperger's.
Okay, so can you spell it for me? For real? I'm not being funny. Spell it.
Let me see. Aspergers.
Okay. I did spell it right. I just didn't say it right.
Okay.
All right. So Asperger's is common.
It's no longer in existence.
Okay.
I'm gonna just let you guys know that the DSM-5, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, they changed all these different terminology. So it's not in the existence anymore. It doesn't mean that these individuals don't have this label per se and have these characteristics, but it has been changed to autism spectrum disorder. Okay. And that's what it is now. So all these other types of categories that were there, they're no longer there under that umbrella. It's just autism, basically. With that said, individuals with Asperger's, they're often characterized of being highly functional on a cognitive level in a specific area and almost like a savant. I'm trying to remember. It's the movie Rain Man, I believe,
My
where
favorite.
Dustin Hoffman, he was, portraying someone who might appear to have that disability. Anyway, the point is, everybody now needs to just focus on it's autism spectrum disorder, and there's all these different. The reason we use spectrum is because what spectrum means, there's a variety of different types of characteristics, and all these individuals are different, but they still make up the whole of autism.
Very good. Very good. Good stuff. Listen, I've learned me some stuff. It made me want to rethink the approach. Period. Right. I'm really excited because I can see even these conversations converting into a network and a net worth that really changes how we interact with our special needs community, specifically dealing with autism, but even with the behavior management aspects of things. That being said, listen, we come, we hit it, and we quit it. We get the job done. Next week, we're going to talk about IEP support. For those of you guys that know my story, it's not solely based on behavioral needs, but my son has a medical IEP, has a 504 in place simply because of his illness. And it has been very helpful. And the reality is I have not probably taken advantage of some of the benefits that I could have because I did not know how to navigate it. And so I'm really interested as he is about to approach his college years and college terms. He's in his last year of high school. And again, this year we started chemo again. So, sometimes he has what we call chemo brain, where he just cannot function. He can't, think. And so it's always great to have access to a medical IEP or behavioral IEP. I had several foster children that I did a lot of the legwork with because I had help of a social worker. So if in fact you have an IEP in place, listen, Dr. Bartholomew is far more than an autism specialist, honey. She has a whole bunch of stuff in her little knapsack. And so again, here is our Calendly information. And you can also make an appointment, schedule an appointment, email her at info@zmbconsulting.com to connect with her. Again, ask all of the questions needful and necessary. Thanks, Phil. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad that we were able to assist. For you, Kenny Mitchell, and for Trey, and for Ness, and all of you that jumped online today. I really appreciate you guys supporting, being on board. Thank you for those that shared, invited, tagged folks. Joyful Jamila, as always. Thank you for all of your constant support and your commentary, child. She had been posted your Calendly link on her own, but that would be Jamila.
Thank you.
Right. And so any closing comments, remarks, or commentary before we get ready to get out of here, Dr. Zoe?
Yeah, what I want to say, because sometimes what happens when we have discussions about a specific disability, sometimes what we like to do is go down what I call this rabbit hole of research. Please don't do that tonight. It's Friday. Go do something to unwind and relax. Try to find your me time moment. Don't go down the rabbit hole of research. It's way too much. We get on a research information overload, and you will get lost in that. There's no need for you to do that. There's an appropriate time to research and get information, but there's time to just kind of process, let it go, and just relax. So I'm encouraging you guys tonight, don't take all this and start digging in. Take a break. This was enough. This was a lot of information shared with you in a short period of time. So just try to relax.
I call it sandblasting.
Yeah.
we just shot the people with a water hose. I got to do this before we go. Listen, Hold on, let me take these comments down, honey, so y'all can see this. The legendary Clark sisters, Faith Evans, Malika Mitchell, and our very own Dr. Zoee Bartholomew, otherwise known as Dr. Behave, is going to be live on December 30th at 5 p.m. I got a feeling that's going to be EST. I'm not positive, but by next week, we will have a little bit more information to share with you all. Deja said thanks. She appreciated saying that. She was about to start researching, child.
Yeah, please don't.
I want you to save the date, right? Mark it in your calendar. I'm sure we'll have an update here in the Increased Media office to make sure that you guys stay informed and can get connected and be part of the conversation. I'm positive. I know Faith has a special needs child of her own. And so the fact that she reached out to Dr. Behave to be on a panel with the whole Clark sisters, that's so dope. I am uber excited and super duper glad to watch that victory take place in your life. And not that you've not done other major stuff. But this is a little different though, player. This a little different. And
I'm thankful and excited. You know, I enjoy working with my parents. I know some of my parents are probably on now. And so my job and focal point has always been to serve my families. And so, you know, Faith Evans is a mother, and that's how she's being treated as a parent. And she wants to inform other parents, which I commend her for using her platform for that. And that's what we're hoping to do. This is a symposium of sharing knowledge and information for families. So again, tune in and pay attention to that, because this is something huge. You're going to see more and more stuff coming out on these platforms, because it's time to stop hiding in the shadows. We need to talk about this and help one another.
Truthfully. Seriously. If you notice, I've changed the slides. Want to remind you all very quickly that Dr. Bartholomew also has a book. The book is called Behave by Dr. Zoee Bartholomew, and it would behoove you, if you are a parent struggling with just finding a community, finding support, or even having, I call it the behavior Bible, right? So it's very practical. It's not pragmatic at all. It is extremely streamlined. ABCD 1, 2, 3 quick tips. A simple read, a fast read, and all you have to do is hold your phone up, pull your camera up, scan this barcode. It'll take you directly to Dr. Bartholomew's personal webpage, where the book is one of the first options. I wanted to make it as simple and as easy as I could for each of you. That being said, guys, listen, I'm excited. And Jamal, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for watching. Continue to watch and to share, and with your community and those that you spend time with that you know are dealing with the struggle of being a special needs parent, or any type of disabilities or things of that nature. We want to hear from you. Don't hesitate to send an email. You can check her out at drzoebartholomew.com and behave.org. But more importantly, listen, make sure you join the Facebook group. Become part of a community that is proactive, that is family oriented and parenting first. We want to wrap our arms around you. So again, I'm beyond excited, Doc. I'm gonna pull you in the back.
All right.
These last little memos, and just remind you guys that this is not just us shooting lies. This is really a community of people who want to help and to support. And so that being said, again, make sure that you mark your calendar for December 30th. I am positive it's going to be a wealth of information, a wealth of resources, a wealth of knowledge. But more importantly, it's always great to support those that are doing great things in the community. So again, my name is Dion. They tend to call me the radical one. I appreciate you watching another Increased Media moment. And if in fact you are at all interested in connecting with me, please don't hesitate to contact me at Dion at increase-media.com. For more details, you can always visit my website, www.increasemedia.com. We appreciate you guys watching. I promise I'll see you next time. Have a good night, all.
What can I say about Increase Media? Increase Media is super top-notch, high quality, very, very professional business. I'm excited every time that I see an event that Increase Media is a part of. And I'm also excited to say that Increase Media was involved in my single release for my song, What He's Done For Me. They were there for the concert and to run that. It was really great. I really appreciate Dion, the Radical Midwife. She is an incredible entrepreneur, and I'm very proud of how professional she runs her business. Even I attended a workshop recently, and from registering to the event to the end of the event, when she wanted us to submit a survey, we were handled very professionally. We were given information. The slides were given to us. There was so much given to us, more than we expected. Increase Media does a great job at handling events and productions. They should be applauded for such professional business. I really appreciate Increase Media and Dion, the Radical Midwife. If you haven't trusted them with your event, you need to do that today. Because trust me, when Increase Media puts on your event, you will be happy with the outcome.